South Africa's poultry industry faces a crisis. Government is now trying to help out. Calls for Absa to return apartheid-era bailout money get louder. Hello and welcome to eNews Direct Weekend Edition. I'm Shahan Ramkisoon. To comment on our stories, you can find us on Twitter and Facebook at eNews Direct.
Hello, I'm Kate Nokwe. You can also track our main stories using the following hashtags: AU Summit, Oz Open and Sunmeet.
All right, this leads our bulletin. Government is scrambling to stop job losses in the poultry industry. A committee has been set up to address the crisis facing local producers. 1,350 rainbow chicken workers will lose their jobs next week, and several thousand more jobs are on the line.
The poultry industry says it's on the verge of collapse as it battles with an influx of cheap chicken imports. These are allegedly being dumped by European Union countries and the United States. Authorities and other industry players will meet at a summit in the coming weeks in a last-ditch bid to save the South African chicken industry.
In 6 to 8 months, if nothing is done, the poultry sector is likely to shrink significantly, and it will only be supplying fast food outlets and not retailers, because retailers will be importing from European Union.
Some of the country's biggest chicken producers are pushing ahead with mass retrenchments and farm sell-offs. Observers say last year around 7 billion rand worth of imported chicken leg quarters, which are dumped by European companies because consumers there prefer chicken breast and wings, came through the Durban harbour at a cost of 10 rand per kilogram, half the industry standard price.
Practically, we need government to basically increase the tariff protection of the industry within the rules of the WTO, to engage with the European Union Commission on the need for them to basically stop flooding their poultry products onto our market.
The DTI says it's considering the designation of domestic poultry products for the purposes of public procurement, while an incentive program should assist producers in the domestic agri-processing sector, including poultry, to improve their competitiveness. At the same time, the department is looking for new markets for the poultry sector. John Bailey, Pretoria.
There's been more protests at Absa branches following a leaked public protector's report on an apartheid-era bailout. A movement called Black First, Land First is calling for national pickets against the bank. A provisional report has found that Absa should pay back more than 2 billion rand for the Bancorp bailout. But the bank has rubbished the findings.
A handful of Black First, Land First protesters turned out at Absa branches across Johannesburg on Saturday. This is part of the movement's national drive to occupy 50 branches. It follows a leaked public protector's draft report claiming Absa benefited from an apartheid government bailout. Barclays Africa, in a statement, said it will continue to cooperate until the investigation is finalized. President Jacob Zuma was granted an extension until the end of February to comment on the government's alleged failure to recoup money from the bank. However, BLF is demanding Absa pay back the money.
All the investigations, there have been 4 investigations now. There was an investigation by Judge Davis, an investigation by Judge Heath, the CIX investigation, this investigation. All of them say the same thing. Unlawful acts were committed in taking the money from the Reserve Bank. Already just there, we have a criminal activity which was committed. Why Absa thinks it will not be able to pay.
The movement plans to extend its call to other organizations.
Once we are done with Absa, we're going to Sanlam, we're going to Johan Rupert, we're going to Daimler Chrysler. We're also going to demand from those white apartheid leaders who stole to pay back the money.
BLF claims to have occupied a number of branches around the country. However, the bank says it's been business as usual, with no interruptions reported. The ANC Youth League recently demonstrated outside an Absa branch in Durban.
Water shortages have been hampering learning in Durban. Schools west of the city say they were forced to send pupils home after experiencing water cuts this past week.
Taps ran dry at the Wirebank Primary School near Kloof last week. The 3-day shutdown forced staff to send the over 1,100 pupils back home early. One pupil was also treated for dehydration.
It's going to continue to affect teaching and learning, because at the end of the day, I'm saying, if there's no water, the children's hygiene, health, safety has been compromised.
The school has since instructed parents to ensure their children carry juice bottles filled with water. It's also considering installing a second water tank. KZN Education says it's received reports from other schools located in the Upper Highway area, New Germany and Westmead, who also experienced water cuts. Last week, eThekwini municipality reintroduced 15% water restrictions after a reservoir, which supplies the affected areas, ran dry. Officials say the restrictions were relaxed during the festive season to cater for the influx of holidaymakers. But the demand has soared across the province, while dam levels remain critically low.
Well, some municipalities may increase their water restriction levels to level 3. Others may go up until 20%. But of course, that will be on a case-by-case basis, and the situation is assessed on a daily basis. So people should expect that there will be higher stages of water restrictions that will be implemented.
Education officials say they're consulting with the eThekwini municipality about how to mitigate the impact of the cuts on schools. Judith Subin, Durban.
There's leadership trouble in Transport Union SATAU. Its General Secretary, Senzo Mahlangu, is being accused of running it like it's his own business. Yesterday, the union held a special meeting in Johannesburg to fill key positions. The posts are vacant because 3 official office bearers have resigned. In an exclusive interview, we talked to disgruntled union members who've decided to speak openly against their leader.
These SATAU delegates from the Western Cape and Eastern Cape say they locked outside this meeting because they're part of 5 provinces facing disbandment for differing with SATAU boss Senzo Mahlangu on a number of issues.
So we decided on our own that we will come here because we believe this is the Central Executive Committee that will take a decision about us, not him. That is why we are here.
But Mahlangu says the Special Central Executive Committee meeting doesn't have powers to remove provincial leaders.
No. Whoever says that is highly mistaken. The CEC can't do that. Even if there was friction, it can't do that. Provincial office bearers are elected in the provinces. If there are issues with their leadership, it is done there.
Mahlangu says the purpose of the meeting is to replace SATAU's president, June Dube, deputy secretary, Nicholas Mazia, and a 3rd office bearer, who all resigned last year. It's no secret that Dube had become isolated from the union's top leadership for siding with those who questioned the disappearance of millions of rand from the union's coffers. For some, the infighting and divisive leadership battles are reminiscent of the April 2015 tensions, which led to the brutal assassination of the union's Gauteng Provincial Secretary, Chris Nkosi.
I believe that when Chris died a day before his PEC, he had a report on an investment arm that we own as SATAU, that is controlled by one person, Senzo Mahlangu. He is the group CEO, he is everything in that investment arm. And Chris was going to table that in his PEC, where he is accountable.
To this day, not a single person has been arrested for Nkosi's assassination.
It's a very painful one. I and the union were hoping by this time that matter will be settled. On the basis that if it's not settled, the possibility of it reoccurring does exist generally.
Mahlangu says he's been communicating with the police and has been informed that investigations are at a sensitive stage. Olimgambi, Johannesburg.
Suspended Police Commissioner Ria Piecha is challenging the outcome of the Claassen inquiry. It found she was unfit to hold office. Piecha has filed a review application to set aside the findings of the Klassen report. The inquiry found she lied to the Marikana Commission and should be dismissed. Papers filed in the Pretoria High Court or the North Gauteng High Court dispute this, saying the findings were irrational. Piecha's lawyers are also expected to argue that Judge Niels Klassen changed the inquiry's terms of reference and contradicted the Farlam Commission of Inquiry, which was established to investigate the deaths of 44 people during a 2012 strike at Lonmin Mine in Marikana. The 28th African Union Summit kicked off in Addis Ababa today. President Jacob Zuma is among the leaders attending the meeting in Ethiopia's capital. Youth development forms a major part of this year's theme. Peace and security on the continent is also expected to be discussed. Other international news now. President Donald Trump has put a 4-month ban on refugees entering the United States. He's also signed an order limiting the entry of visitors from Syria and 6 other Muslim-majority countries. Trump believes this will help protect the U.S. from terrorist attacks, but the move has been widely condemned, with civil rights groups saying it amounts to discrimination. Moving to Hawaii, streams of lava have been oozing out of a volcano. The flow is heading for the Pacific Ocean. When the lava comes into contact with the ocean, an explosive reaction occurs and new land is formed. And finally, Chinese people across the globe are celebrating the Lunar New Year. Celebrations are underway in several countries, but the place to be on this auspicious occasion is definitely the motherland. So far, over 1 billion trips to and within China have been recorded. Welcome back. Fashionistas have showed off their most stylish outfits at the Sun Met. One of the country's most popular horse racing events took place in Cape Town today. Decades of glamour was the theme. Meanwhile, breeders and their prized horses were focused on winning big. We spoke to the best-dressed couple a little earlier.
We didn't expect it, because when they called out everyone out, they were like, okay, I think we're done. And they were like, number 12. Yeah, I think we almost broke the stage, jumping up and down.
And for me, it's basically been the best highlight of the Summit, and I don't think there's any moment that's ever going to beat winning the best-dressed couple.
If you're into sports and fitness, this one's for you. Well-known personalities, including a South African Olympic star, stepped into each other's shoes for a day, all in an effort to show the benefits of getting out of your comfort zone.
As we ease into 2017, I'm sure most of us are still battling to get back into our usual routines, whether it's work, school, or trying to get back into shape. The latter, I'm sure, for most of us after the festive season indulge. So how would you know just which health and fitness training works for you? Running, weightlifting, or perhaps a bit of this? Well, you won't know until you try it. As Olympic gold medalist Wade van Niekerk and Stormers rugby prop Oliver Kebbel demonstrates. Athletes from different sporting codes are pushing the boundaries when it comes to training and are starting to look outside their normal regimes to be one step ahead of their competitors. Van Niekerk, who usually has a set training schedule with his trainer Ans Botha, took to the yoga mat with expert Cara Lee Sham and didn't do too badly.
It's so good and healthy for your body and your system to recover and to help with the strengthening and conditioning and flexibility, you name it.
And if you thought all this exercise is just for the pros, think again. You may just be surprised to find your perfect fit.
Always ask, what is it that you enjoy, especially when coming to physical activities? If you find somebody that likes dancing, incorporate dancing into their exercise.
But sometimes it's not a bad idea to stick to what you know. Tanya Neft, Cape Town.
That's it for your entertainment for tonight. After the break, Louis has your weather forecast.
Hello everyone. It's time to check out your forecast for Sunday, and we expect it to be mostly cloudy up in the far northeastern corner, with showers and thunderstorms still moving across the area as tropical moisture continues to move down from further northwards. It's going to be a mostly clear and warmer day over the central and western parts of the country, and there is a cold front busy approaching from the west. For the meantime, there's no rainfall expected from that, although it will still be pushing in some cloud cover along the Atlantic coastline. Your detailed forecast shows a partly cloudy afternoon over eastern KwaZulu-Natal. Durban gets to 29 degrees. Ladysmith mostly clear with a high of 31. The forecast for the Eastern Cape speaks for itself. It's going to be a sunny and warm to hot day all across the province. Port Elizabeth, Port Alfred, as well as East London, all climbing to a high of 26. Very hot conditions for the interior of the Western Cape, but milder along the coastline. A bit of cloud cover moves in for Langebaan as well as Cape Town. And there'll also be some cloud for the coastline of the Northern Cape, perhaps even fog over those areas, but the interior will be sunny and warm to hot once again. Mostly clear weather for the Western Free State, partly cloudy in the north. Welkom gets to a maximum of 32. And in the northwest, there is a possibility for a few showers and thunderstorms around Zeerust and Rustenburg. Mahikeng dry under partly cloudy conditions. For Limpopo, on the other hand, lots of cloud along with showers and thunderstorms. Those are going to be widespread for most places. Polokwane, 23 as your maximum, the cloud cover keeping the temperature lower. And for Mpumalanga, there'll also be some wet weather, especially over the eastern parts early in the day, and scattered thunder showers expected for the northern Highveld, including eMakhazeni. Finally, for Gauteng, there'll be a few showers and thunderstorms for the province, mostly in the northern areas, while in the south, extremely isolated thunderstorms will be possible, including around Vereeniging. Let's look ahead to Monday, when wet weather continues up in the northern parts of the country. Polokwane, 23 once again, a high of only 24 degrees for Johannesburg. And on Tuesday, similar conditions persisting up in the far northern parts, mostly sunny and hot over the Northern Cape, and wet weather makes its way up the eastern coastline.
Here's a reminder of our top stories before we go. South Africa's poultry industry faces a crisis. Government is trying to help out. Calls for Absa to return apartheid-era bailout money get louder. And that's a wrap from the eNews Direct team for tonight. To share your views, you can send an email to enewsdirect@etv.co.za.
Or chat to us on Twitter and Facebook at eNews Direct.
Until next time, good night.